Have you ever wondered why humans look all so different? Why we look the way that we look? I'm about to tell you why with my presentation. My name is Brynn, and for my purpose scenario project, I chose to do genetic evolution. I chose to do this topic because we started learning about it in science class, and I was interested in the topic, so I decided to learn more. Here is what I have learned throughout the year. Genetic Evolution by Brynn. Genetic evolution is complicated. These are the top 10 things you need to know. Number 1. The reason that we all look different are because of genes. Not everyone in the world looks the same, even if they have the same parents. Number 2. Genetic evolution doesn't just happen. It takes millions of years. This evolution occurs through a process we call survival of the fittest. It goes like this. Say a random organism has a trait that can help the organism better to survive the environment, like immunity to a disease or something. Now, compared to all the others, it has a better chance of surviving if that disease were to break out. So say in millions of years that disease breaks out, and that is the only kind, because they've been passing it to their offspring, that is able to survive. Well, eventually everything else that does not have the gene dies out, and you're left with only the organisms that have the gene. This is what survival of the fittest is. The reason genetic evolution occurs is from mutations. As I said, genetic evolution comes from survival of the fittest, which comes from random genetic mutations. Now, you may hear mutations and think of things that are bad, but mutations are essential to human and all other life evolution. Not all mutations are passed down. Here are a few reasons why this could happen. One reason is that the DNA might not copy correctly, causing one gene to be different, making probably a small mutation, but it can be very important. This could be something as simple as a different eye color, or it could be as strange as something that could completely help a new species. Another reason this could happen would be if the genes were exposed to a source that wasn't healthy for them, causing them to break down. Whenever the DNA tries to repair itself, it could mess it up some way and cause a mutation. Another thing you need to know is that humans did not evolve from apes like everyone says. In fact, there was a common ancestor way back millions of years ago, and apes and humans developed into different species through genetics. Genes show up in the form of alleles, different forms a gene may have, for a trait. Now, scientists show these alleles through letters. For example, if someone was tall, they might have a capital T and a lowercase t as their allele. Any capital letters for any trait means that the trait is dominant. Any lowercase letters means that the trait is recessive. If there is at least one capital letter, that trait will show up. If there are two lowercase letters, meaning there are two recessive traits, the recessive trait will be shown. For example, a lowercase t and a lowercase t would mean that the person is short. Two uppercase t's would mean that a person is tall, and an uppercase t and a lowercase t would mean that a person is tall also. Just because your mother and father had a trait does not mean that you'll have it. For example, say you have two tall people. Their traits, their alleles, could be a capital T and a lowercase t for both of them, meaning that their child would have the alleles uppercase T, lowercase t, or two lowercase t's, meaning that it was short. That is why, whenever two tall people have a child, it could possibly be short. Not all traits are one way or another. Just like there are special cases in math, special exemptions, there are the same in genes. In genes, everything does not have to be one way or another. You can have something called complete dominance and incomplete dominance. Complete dominance means that there are two separate traits and they're both shown, like a red and a white flower creating a red and white flower. There's also incomplete dominance, where both traits are shown at the same time except mixed together. A red flower and a white flower might create a pink flower. Number 9. In genes, there is a difference between a genotype and a phenotype. The genotype is the actual genetic information for the trait, going back to the tall example, a capital T and a lowercase t. But the phenotype is the way it is shown, if you're tall or short. And finally, you have a difference between heterozygous and homozygous genes. Having a homozygous genotype means that both of your letters are the same, either both capital or both lowercase. Two capital T's mean that you're tall, but it can also be known as homozygous. A capital T and a lowercase t means that you're tall, but it can also be seen as heterozygous because that means that they're both different. So, as you can see, there are many different things that you need to know about genetic evolution to understand it. Thank you for watching my presentation.